Not a huge surprise, but clearly one of the great comebacks since Burt Reynolds' hairline. It came in a two-word statement, which is now just begging to have a Nike campaign built around it. Quote unquote, "I'm back."
Hey, Coolio, I'm telling you, homie, I can't be broke this summer. I'm gonna have to go get a job. Get a job? Yeah. Fool, you gotta go down to the county bill and get you some GR.
7 in the morning, standing in the line, 3 fools in the front of me, drinking on some wine. 2 in the back of me, sucking on a drink, and 1 in the back of them, begging for a Newport. There's 4 or 5 suckers way in the back.
Welcome one and all to the 20th edition of Somehow We Manage. Today we have joining us basketball analyst Debbie Antonelli. If you haven't already, please like, comment, and subscribe, and be sure to visit us on all social media outlets. Debbie Antonelli joining us now on Somehow We Manage. Debbie, how are you?
Caegan, what's going on, my man? All good in the middle of hoop season. This is the best time of year. Great to talk to you.
I was about to say this is a great time of the year for basketball junkies like me and you. I want to start. I think a congratulations is in order. You are the latest recipient of the Jake Wade Award. How does that feel?
Oh, thank you so much. Yes, it's a very nice honor, very humbling to receive that award based on all the names that have received it previously, and it's a really cool honor for someone like me who's been around college athletics for longer than you've been alive, Caegan.
Well, like you said, the NCAA tournament is in full swing, and when we get started here, I'd like to talk about the women's side of things. What would you say are some of the biggest challenges facing women's basketball today?
Oh, I think the number one challenge is getting people to pay attention and to cover the sport. I think the product is the narrative, is what I've been saying for a long time, and the product keeps delivering if you're paying attention. The game is as good as it's ever been. The WNBA is gaining in popularity. Attendance is high. Ratings are good. And if ratings continue to creep up, then I think we have something to sell. So I'm excited about the prospect of the game continuing to grow, and I'm glad that I've been able to watch it happen.
And so a follow-up question to that is, what would you say the trajectory is for women's basketball, not just in college, but in the WNBA, like you said, in the next 10 to 20 years?
Yeah, I think unfortunately, participation in basketball numbers around the country are dropping a little bit, but ratings and attendance are rising, I should say. And there are more girls playing sports now than ever before. They're not all playing my sport, but I think there's a very positive trajectory because I think corporate America is finally starting to pay attention, and I think that's going to be good for the game.
So talking about the women's tournament, there have been some great games so far on that side. Who do you think has the greatest chance, as it stands right now, of knocking off South Carolina?
Well, I was saying it was South Carolina versus the field since January, but really it's been South Carolina versus the field since they won it last year and cut down the net. They are a dominant, physically dominant defensive team. They have length and size. And if you don't have length and size to combat them, that's really tough on the glass because they're so committed to rebounding. They're very connected, and Coach Staley has done a fantastic job keeping them playing at a high level. But I think the game that most people are craving now the most as the bracket seems to be shaping up is I think we'd love to see South Carolina versus Iowa, the great Caitlin Clark, who has done things in the game last year and this year that no one has ever done. I think that's an exciting opportunity for us, and that what might happen if it happens in the Final Four. But on the other side of the bracket, there's always UConn. It's hard to count them out. They've won and been to 14 consecutive Final Fours. I don't know if there's a number that's more impressive than that over their 11 national championships. So I think there's a couple of teams. There's some new teams out there, and I think you need to keep your eye on Maddie Siegrist at Villanova, who became the all-time leading scorer in the history of the Big East. She leads the nation in scoring, and they've got a really good basketball team that has a chance now that Miami has knocked out Indiana.
Now, talking about Coach Staley, if you've paid attention to the tournament, you've seen her in a lot of these big-time commercials. Obviously, the tournament time is huge for advertising, and you've seen her in a lot of these. What does that mean for the women's game to see, a star like her, getting that kind of notoriety?
Well, first of all, it's outstanding for Dawn, and I'm sure it's filling her pocketbook pretty good, too. And hanging out with Coach Kay is never a bad thing, so I love that. I've had a chance to do that myself. I think what is great about it is Dawn handles the celebrity and the responsibility of being the ambassador for the game very well. And she has handled it for a long time with that kind of responsibility. And that's good for all of us because, as you mature and grow inside being a head coach, you worry about your own team, then you worry about your team inside your league, and then you start worrying about the game and the greater good. And I think that's where Dawn is, and that's good for us.
So on the men's side of things, we've seen some amazing upsets as we do every year. How's your bracket looking after the first 2 rounds of the men's tournament?
Well, I was in Albany, and the first day we were chalk, so I wasn't surprised at that. But, my bracket's looking pretty good. I still have Miami alive. I thought they would come out of there and play Houston, so I'm excited to see that matchup. Purdue hurt me. Duke hurt me. But I think my bracket's holding out okay.
So who do you have making the Final Four?
Well, I had Purdue making the Final Four, and I had Penn State making the Final Four. So I put a lot of stock on Penn State. But I think Houston can get there. I think Miami presents a different kind of challenge for them, because Miami plays small all the time, and their guards are so good. And I thought in Albany on Friday, it was the worst I'd seen Miami play all year, and then on Sunday, it's the best I saw them play. So I think they have definitely turned a corner. They'll be tough to knock out because their guards are so good and they share the ball. So I think they're not getting as much publicity because there's still a couple of ones alive, but I definitely keep my eye on Miami now.
And so aside from them, who do you think is the one team to beat?
Well, I'm trying to remember who's in the upper left side of the bracket. I don't have it sitting in front of me. Who was the 1 seed in the upper left, Caegan?
Oh, you got me for a loss here too. Is it Kansas is out? Houston's still in it. Oh, I'll tell you, I had UConn win it all. I think UConn's going to be a tough team to beat if they get hot. We played them earlier this year, and so I saw them in person. I think that if they make it there, they're going to win it all, in my opinion.
I think because they were a team we had in Albany, so we had a great region, right? First and second round for CBS. It was Spiro Ditas and myself. UConn, man, they check all the boxes.
Certainly.
A lot of people thought they were underseeded. They had been the number 2 team in the country earlier in the year. They have some significant wins. They had a little stretch in January where they hit a bump with their Big East schedule, which the Big East has proven to be a really tough league. Sonogo is a handful. Caegan comes off the bench. Jordan Hawkins seems to be getting geared up in the second half. They don't have a natural point guard, but they really don't need one because they have multiple looks that can initiate their offense. They're really good when they rebound and get in transition, and they defend at a high level. So I like UConn as well. I think they got a chance. I definitely think there's a path for them, and that'd be pretty special for the state of Connecticut if both the men and women made it again.
Right. Well, another big storyline, for the second year in a row, we have a 15 seed in the Sweet 16. Do you think Princeton has a chance to advance?
Oh, boy. I don't know. I didn't get a chance to see them play due to my own schedule, but it seems like they've got a team very similar, like maybe Miami Light, if you will. Small, athletic, move the ball. And I always see the game through an offensive lens, Caegan. So when I'm looking through an offensive lens, teams that have 5 players that can score and teams that move the ball have a chance to beat any kind of defense that you put out there. Because, like I say, under, overhead, strap, ice jam, switch, drop are the 8 different coverages in ball screen defense. And you can attack all of those if you've got a really good offense that moves the ball.
Certainly.
So I'm excited to see if they can advance.
So I want to talk a little bit about Tobacco Road. Obviously, there's a new era for North Carolina and Duke. What's your opinion on the first 2 years of, the new era of that rivalry?
Well, first of all, I had North Carolina on the road a couple of times this year, and I had Duke 5 times, including 3 late in February. So I thought they were Duke was on an incredible upward trend. John Shire seems to seamlessly move over to the head coaching position, which is not easy. that's a challenge for anyone. I think Hubert Davis facing similar challenges at North Carolina. I think it's just going to take a little time. I do believe that this year for North Carolina is a blip. I don't think it's going to be a pattern. I think it's just the ACC was viewed to not be as strong as in the past, and I think that's because of the change at the top. Now we have Coach Boeheim stepping aside, so I think the league is going to come back. I know there's some really good coaches in that league. I'm so fortunate to get to cover them and watch them up close and study their teams and be in practice and in a lot of cases be in film with them. And I know that, you know, with the portal and the way the game has changed, you can very quickly get right back at it, and the coaches are certainly capable of handling it. So I think both Duke and North Carolina will be fine.
So as many of us know, you played for the late, great Kay Yow, and she was well known as a coach and as a pioneer for the women's game. But what I'd like to know is, what was she like behind the scenes?
Oh, man, I love talking about my coach. I miss her, especially during this time of year, all season, when I get to see so many teams getting reunited with their old coaches and enjoying telling those old stories. I was so fortunate that she picked me. It was a time when there wasn't AAU or summer ball. Recruiting was so different. I was a kid that lived 10 miles from the campus, and I had been to her camps. I had been in being recruited and playing for her. And then my basketball career, which she was a part of 30 years of my life, and I'm so grateful for it. But she was an incredible teacher. She did not yell at us. She might get disappointed if we didn't do things the right way or with the right cadence, but she was at practice every day. In my 4 years, I don't even remember her missing a practice to go recruiting. So she always treated us as people first, players second. And I'm just so grateful that I have learned so much more about her since she has passed, based on my work with the Kay Yow Cancer Fund as a lifetime member of the board, or some friends that have crossed my path that were her friends that I've learned things about her and from them. And I miss her. I wish she was around, but her legacy definitely is rooted in trying to make the lives of people battling cancer better.
Now, something that's always interested me about Coach Yow, and you just mentioned it, she wasn't a yeller. So what was it about her and her personality to where she didn't have to scream and yell to get her point across and to teach you guys?
You know, it sounds a little old school, but I know coaches will tell you it's a relationship business, and you know this with your responsibility with Coach Siddle. You know, it's a relationship business, and she had a relationship with each one of us. She cared about us, our families. We had weekly meetings. She cared about the academic side. All of it was to have vision about what we couldn't see or understand because we were so young. And I think college kids are young. And she just had a relationship with us, so we didn't want to disappoint her. I always felt motivated by my relationship with her because I was a 3-year starter. She didn't need to come to me every day and pump me up, or she didn't need to come and correct me. I already knew. And so the reason why I knew is because I worked hard, I studied the game hard, and I cared about my relationship with her and my teammates. And that's really what it is at the end of the day. And I'm so happy to say that, particularly at NC State, it doesn't matter if you played in the late 70s or you're on the current team. We have an incredibly connected family. And a lot of it is, even though she didn't coach everyone, she coached, 80% to 90% of those that have been a part of the program in some way, shape, or form. So we're all very fortunate that we were able to be a part of that family, and it sticks around still today. My best friends are still my college teammates.
So as time has passed now and you look back on your time with Coach Yow, what would you say are some of the more important lessons that she taught you?
Oh, man, I carry around with me words, call these 3 words my decision makers, no matter what I'm doing, where I am, or what role I'm playing. I am a mom. I have 3 boys. I have a husband of 30 years. I have a family. I've got sisters, nieces, nephews, brother-in-laws. I've got all of it. I use these three words in my career and in my family in making any decisions. One is build. I always want to be a builder. I want to be constructive with my time and my efforts. Serve. I want to be a servant to others, because Coach Yow thought that was the greatest quality of a really good leader, was somebody who cared and tried to help others do what they want to do. And the last is empower. If I build and serve, I think I empower others to do the same thing. And those are things that I would have learned from my time with Coach Yow, that maybe I didn't understand it as a player, but I certainly did as I became a mom and someone who is as invested in the game as she was.
So as you stated earlier, you've done a lot of amazing work with the Kay Yow Cancer Fund. What do you think Coach Yow would say if she could see what has been created today in her honor?
Oh, gosh, I think she would continue to defer because she never wanted it to be about her. She really didn't even want her name on it. She wanted it to be a galvanizing and rallying point for people to come together to make a difference for others that were suffering. And I think she would be really proud of that part of it, that one of the parts of our mission is to serve the underserved. That's an area in the rural part of states where women don't get the health care that they need. And I think we have had the ability to make a dent in that by the mobile mammogram units that travel around rural North Carolina and service those women that may not have the means to have a mammogram or to get the kind of health care they need. So I know she would be very proud of that, and I know she would be proud of the leadership of the fund. It's not always easy, but we have stuck together to try to make it work, and we understand at the end of the day we're trying to help people that are battling cancer and make their quality of life better and find a cure at the same time.
What would Coach Yow say today if she could see the state of the women's program? Obviously, they've come along tremendously under Coach Moore. What would she say if she could see where it's at today?
Oh, man, I know how proud she would be. Reynolds Coliseum is a special place. It was before I got there, and it was, a big part of the history of basketball in the South. And to see the renovation of the way Debbie Yow had put the museum in the front and the renovation of the arena and making it such a welcoming, hard place to win in on the road, I think she would be really proud of what Wes has done. Last year they were a possession or two in overtime away from going to the Final Four. She did get to take one of her teams to the Final Four in 1998, which, she was at the time like one of the last of the good guys to do it. And I know she would be really proud of everything that Wes has done and the way the program has carried forward. And she'd be really proud of the alumni base and how we've all stuck together.
Now, off the court, what did she mean to the game of basketball?
Oh, I think they're all tied together, to be honest with you, Caegan. Between her cancer fund and the success that she had, the 7 different Hall of Fames that she's in, including Naismith. There's not many coaches in the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame representing the women's side. I think her legendary numbers are established and enshrined in many Hall of Fames, but it's her way she dealt with people that I think is the most enduring part of her legacy, especially as it relates to the Cancer Fund. But she was not, a softie either. I mean, she was tough. She had some toughness about her, and she loved to compete. And she liked to get her team ready to put a game plan together and get after it. And, boy, that's the stuff that I miss today. I wish we could have those conversations about what it was like back then.
So you talked about how special of a place Reynolds Coliseum was and still is. As a broadcaster, what would you say are the top 5 venues that you've seen in person?
Oh, man. Well, Reynolds Coliseum is special. I love going there. I love going to Cameron. I like going over to Carmichael. So the Triangle area, those 3 are really special for me growing up in the area. And, getting to call games at those places and those venues are always special. I love those. There's a lot of great places. Knoxville, when Pat Summitt was the head coach, would be one of my favorite places to be. I had a great relationship with Coach Summitt, who was a friend of mine. And those environments, when you'd go in there and there'd be 20,000 people. But I don't want this to sound so callous as to say anytime there's an opportunity to cut down the nets, those are the gyms I want to be in because I want to be on the call for all of those.
Okay, and what about the top 5 players that you've seen in person?
Oh, man. On the women's side or the men's side?
Both. Either
well,
or.
I mean, Michael Jordan is the greatest of all time. I've had my picture taken with him. He and I are the same age. He was at Carolina when I was playing at State. Oh, gosh, I mean, Tamika Catchings is one of the greatest all-time all-around players. I mean, I could go on and on. Diana Taurasi, I've seen them all. I mean, when you go back to Teresa Edwards and all those great Olympic teams at the very beginning, Jackie Stiles, you know, right now we're watching the greatness of Caitlin Clark. There's a lot of great players. Shamiqua Holtzclaw, gosh, there's so many on the women's side. Ann Myers, Nancy Lieberman. That's a different era, but a very successful one. And then, you know, I'm enjoying watching Dawn Staley right now because I covered her as a player in college and in the W, and I'm so proud living in the state of South Carolina for what she has done. I had a hand in her getting the job when Eric Hyman hired her as when he was the athletic director at South Carolina, so I take great pride in watching that. And I'm just there's so many great players in the history of our game. You kind of caught me off guard, but I love being in the gym, Caegan. It doesn't get old for me. I've been on the air for 35 years. I've enjoyed every moment of it, and I'm not looking to do anything different right now.
So you mentioned Jordan there early on. You know, LeBron obviously just surpassed Kareem Abdul-Jabbar as the leading scorer of all time. In your eyes, do you think when it's all said and done that LeBron can surpass Michael Jordan?
Well, he's got to win a few more championships, that's for sure. But you know, Michael's my era. That's my time. I mean, I'm sticking with my guy there. I'm wearing his Jordans right now. It's pretty tough when, you know, you got to decide in the morning if you're going to wear, you know, your Jordans or your KDs or your LeBrons or your Kobe's or your Stephs or your Elena Deladons or now your Candace Parkers. I got a lot of choices in my closet, but I'm wearing MJ's right now.
Yeah, and if I remember correctly, you spoke to our team in the locker room at UNCW, and I think you had on some baby blue Jordans, if I remember correctly.
You know what? I did speak to the team. It was the most unusual situation and set of circumstances for me, to be honest, because my son was on the opposing team, and Coach Siddle and I have known each other for years from his time at NC State with Coach Keats. And when he asked me to come in the locker room, I was a little bit surprised, but wow, that was pretty cool to have a mom from the opposing team come and speak to your team after the game. I think that set a new one for me.
Yeah, we had there was a younger manager. He was like, did some kid's mom just come and talk to us? And I was like, no, he's not just somebody's mom. You might want to tune into ESPN a few times a week. But anyway, Debbie, thank you for your time today. I greatly appreciate it. This has been a great conversation, and I wish you the best of luck in the future. I know you got some big time basketball to call coming up.
I am looking forward to the next few weeks. It is the best time, and I'm so grateful that you wanted to include me on your podcast. Thank you so much for asking, and I wish you the best, too, inside your basketball career. And please let me know if I can do something for you.
All right. Thank you so much. Take care.
Way in the back, stoop down low when the crowd smoking crack. They're looking at me funny cause I got a record out, and a nigga with a record I'm supposed to have some clout. A fourth of the people